So, welcome to today. I'm Christine.
I'm Liz.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are Double Defense. We're an all female New York Rangers podcast, bringing you fun conversation about our New York Rangers, the NHL and hockey, and so much more. Thank you for joining us.
The Rangers have just finished up at the time of this recording, which is on Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Obviously,
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.
We're very grateful for a lot of things, which we will get into later, because obviously this episode is going to air a couple of days after Thanksgiving. So I'm sure a few things will have transpired. But at the time of this recording, the Rangers have just finished up their West Coast road trip. We were lucky enough to get to a bunch of the games. I was at the San Jose game and then the Kings game, which they both won. Christine was at the Kings game and the Ducks game. So we'll share some of our experiences from that. It's been an interesting road trip, to say the least.
This team's going to give me a stroke at times, I think.
They're just so up and down. And I think we talked about this actually with the Mind Your Pucking business guys, sort of like predictions for the season. And we talked about how we kind of felt like this wouldn't be the easy run. Not that last year was easy, but this team has a lot of ups and downs and they're just ultra confusing.
They are. And I was actually talking about this with people like last night too at the game. If we took the statistics of each of the games and hid the score and the teams, and we just asked people randomly, like, who do you think won? On paper, they look amazing. Last night, even though like I was there for some of the hits, it looked, like the Ducks were very aggressive. We had more hits than they did. On paper, we look amazing. And I know that I think some of the reporters were kind of tweeting this like a week or two ago. Yeah, that sometimes hockey's just confusing like that. So like that's what baffles me, is how we can be so amazing on paper and we're still not, like, the shots. I mean, both games, the last two nights, 40 plus shots.
And it's funny because I think sometimes there is a fair amount of luck in it, and the Rangers had so many shots on goal last night.
Oh, even at
so
the
many of
Sharks
them
game.
Yeah.
Because it took them 40 shots to score, I think, right?
So many hit the post too. So I mean,
that's our new thing.
Yeah, that sound, I've decided the sound of the puck hitting the post is like the worst sound in the entire world, unless it's the other team hitting the post, then it's fine. But it just like, it's so grating. And I think we heard it. I want to say it was like 6 times last night in the Ducks game. It was painful. But overall, I think it was a really good experience. We had a great time at the Kings game. We met so many cool people. We are so grateful. And speaking of Thanksgiving, we're very grateful for growing this amazing community. We've met so many fun people, and we're excited to see where the rest of the season goes, win or lose. We've definitely created something here that we are very proud of and excited to have our friends be a part of, and our new friends.
And let me add to that friend thing while we're talking about it. I've been going to the Ducks and Kings games for years. It's my thing. So it is an interesting little family. And a lot of people start following us. So hopefully they're going to listen, because I'm so grateful. Like, I've watched kids grow, and it's such a sweet thing when I'm at a game during the warm-ups and down at the glass with everybody, and making sure little kids get into a position to get, pictures and days when they could, high five players and stuff. And people would be like, oh yeah, you were here last year, or I remember you from last year. And that happened the other night too.
The person you met who had the picture, talk about that.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
So last year, or actually, okay, I keep saying last year. It was January. It was January when we met. It was January when we were there, and all of this happened. It feels like so long ago, but it was still the same year. And yeah, I was down at the glass, and there was actually 2 dads and daughters. And so there was one dad and his daughter who they wanted a stick from Mika, and I saw him get eye contact, and I just was like, "You got it." And I started snapping pictures, and I sent them the pictures I took, and so they were there on Tuesday night, and again, I don't remember because it's one moment, and they were like, yeah, you were here. And they're like, you took this picture. So they had made another sign and asked for a picture, and they got that too.
So she had a sign with her picture on it from January of her getting the stick, and we're standing there, and Christine realizes she's the one that took the picture that is on this girl's sign.
Oh, that's
awesome.
It was very, very cute.
It was super fun.
The other dad, by the way, the other dad and his daughter, who were in from New York, somehow we connected on Instagram. And so Mike, it's a shout out to you. Like we've been pretty good friends, since then, and communicated through all the games. There definitely a friendship was made. That's the reason for even connecting and doing this, is how we happened and how we're not just growing a podcast, but a larger family of hockey friends.
Yeah, and I love that. I think that's what we're all about. It is hockey friends. We had the very good fortune of being up in San Jose, where there were a fair amount of Ranger fans being represented. And I have to say, San Jose was a great arena. The fans were super cool, really respectful. And we met all these cool people, many of whom supported the Rangers from all over the world. We met Russians and Latvians and just people from everywhere. And it was really fun to be connected by this hockey community. And
British guy last night. Well, they were there on Tuesday too. The young girl and her boyfriend, who was from the UK. The Russian family. Her name's Christine in Russian, so she's gonna listen to this, and I'm gonna butcher the name and the pronunciation. But she was so fun and so amazing, and she had the Russian jerseys on. I love it when they're from everywhere,
and it's been very cool. And I have to say, I've been thinking about this too. Would we be having the same kind of bonding experience if this season was just a walk in the park? If we were just out there winning every single game and it was easy, would we feel as connected as we are? I kind of feel like it's the struggle that we all go through that bonds us. I think every team has that, because it's never a walk in the park for anyone, unless you're the Bruins this year. But
I know no one's perfect, and I know everyone cries about everything. So I'm definitely staying away from the boards. Actually, I saw some and I was chiming in because I was actually agreeing with them with what we've been seeing. I'm like, oh well, I can put it nicer, but I kind of agree with you. Always through the years, going to the games here, it is such a large representation of opponent fans. And I thought about it too late, but next time I go, I definitely want to ask, people that work there, like, who's the biggest opponent representation that they see? I'm kind of thinking it's us, but I'm kind of curious. The flip of the coin is, let me just tell you, at Madison Square Garden, it's all us. It's all Rangers fan. I don't see this in New York with all the other games I go to. I don't see, there's a few, but they're not even good Islander fan representation. It's all us. We swarm and we grow.
And I think New Yorkers, and for anybody who's just joining us for the first time, Christine and I are both transplanted New Yorkers who live in Southern California. Sarah is Canadian, so isn't part of the New York Rangers community, but is a massive NHL fan and a Penguins fan, which we will not hold against her. But
we're working on it. We're working on it. We're still new. That's a mission.
We'll get there.
Guess what she's getting for Christmas?
I think that New Yorkers do tend to leave New York. We take our New York hearts with us. So the teams that we grew up with, and we touched on this last episode, of sort of the experience of growing up, with the New York Rangers as part of our lives. We're never going to forget that, no matter where we live. And I think the teams come together. And Sarah, I don't know if you see this in Canada as well. So obviously there's a lot of transplanted Torontonians. Do they keep the faith when the Maple Leafs are playing elsewhere? Where do you see people coming in from?
From a Toronto perspective, Leaf fans, diehards for sure. It's pretty rare you meet one that, has moved on to another team like myself. Those are few and far between. I also think too, an original six angle there. It's kind of ingrained in you. Being Calgary, where everyone's transplanted from everywhere else, it's pretty rare you meet an actual Albertan here. The Battle of Alberta between Calgary and Edmonton, it sounds very much like what you're saying of the Rangers LA experience. In Calgary, hands down, you see more Oilers jerseys than Flames usually at these things. Usually, it depends, but usually I would say you see more Oilers than Calgary. I don't know. I think the Toronto vibe's everywhere. I know, going to Disney in Orlando, I see Maple Leaf jerseys walking around. They're everywhere you go. And I think that's just the unique fandom, if you will, of being a Canadian and being a Leafs fan. You don't really see that of the other teams. Maybe Quebec Nordiques, they're everywhere too.
We saw a couple of Quebec Nordiques jerseys.
Oh, I got a picture of them. They sat right below me.
That's hilarious.
They're all in a line. They all sat below.
Still representing.
I do see those, and then Habs too, the Canadians. But other than that, Leafs are everywhere. They just love.
Do you think it's the being bonded in struggle thing?
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand it anymore. It's a bandwagon.
They're diehard. They're like Flyers fans, They just they stick around for the doom and gloom, and one day maybe. Although I think Flyers fans just hate their team. We're a fan, but we hate our team.
But the Leafs,
they're proud of it.
They plan their parade every year.
Maybe, you never know.
See, Canadians, I just think are born into some hockey family. And
It's a way of life, that's for sure.
That's what I always picture of every Canadian. If I meet a Canadian that doesn't like hockey, I'm like,
what happened to you?
Yeah,
what went
you
wrong
got
there?
Yeah.
I've been getting asked a lot of questions when I'm meeting people, especially the last couple of days. And it's so interesting question. I'm like, I don't know if I know the answer to it. It's what made you become a Rangers fan? And I'm like, I just don't know. Actually, I don't know where that point was when I just have always liked them. You know, I would keep telling people I did start off as like an Islander fan because I was there. I was young. It was the Olympics. The Olympics is really what got me into hockey and loving it. And I was a fan of the players on the team, on the Rangers at that time, but I was never really allowed to go see them because they were too far away. You know, I lived 10 minutes from Nassau Coliseum. I could go to those games, you know, with my friends and stuff. I'm never allowed to go in the city by myself. You know, so at some point, but it's an interesting question. I'm like, who knows? You know, I meet a lot of people too that it'd be nice to explore kind of as we go through the season, especially in New York. The people I've met, they have season tickets, but these are generational seats. It was like their parents had them and then their parents had them. And now we have them. And they've just kept these seats throughout the generations within their family. And there's so many of them. I mean, everybody I meet, they're like, these are my dad's seats. And I love that. It's, you know, it's more, I'm learning more of that family bonding and community, at least with the Rangers family, the more that we're doing this, because then we're out there talking more and learning more about people in general and fans. And
yeah, and we're seeing a lot of
the team.
And a lot of families like bringing their kids to the game and getting them involved early, which is great. Kids enjoy something when we win. I was a kid in 1994 and it was the most exciting thing in the world when the Rangers won the Stanley Cup. So I mean, for me, that's my origin story. I'm also from Long Island, so I grew up going to a lot of Islanders games, but the Rangers I don't know, there was something very like magical about the Mark Messier years it was really,
I even
really
go
cool.
before that. I'm like Brian Trottier years. I'm like, there was still a great team back then too. My friend Jeremy brought his daughter for the first time. It was her very first game last night too. So I got their little family picture and they're so cute. And so he had his dad and his two children. So again, there's that generational thing. And it's funny because he lives here. His dad lives in New York. They have season tickets at Madison Square Garden. So it was nice to see like that generational passing on the torch and getting those kids involved. They made their own little signs. It was very cute.
Well, hopefully we'll get a couple more wins in the books and keep some of these kids interested and excited about this team going forward. So what have you been seeing on the message boards? You know, obviously there's been a lot of ups and downs. Are people calling for heads to roll at this point or what?
Well, no, I mean, they've always been doing that. So
even when they're winning, they're calling for heads
they
to roll.
They are. Like a week or two ago, it was interesting because, you know, there's a lot of comments about how this team wasn't the same as they were last year. They're realistically comparing the end of the season last year, because that's the last thing they saw, to where we are now. But if you actually go back, so around the game 17-18 mark, if you looked at the statistics from last season, we were actually doing better at that point than we were last year. You kind of have to see it in that perspective, right? For me, usually when they come out here, which is around Christmas time, I think this is the point now where we should not be losing to teams like the Ducks. And we should be starting to gain points with some of these teams that are sitting in higher spots. So this is the turning point for me to start seeing some movement in an upward direction.
We're not doing terribly. So road trip ended. We got 5 of a potential 8 points. You could tell that the Rangers were sort of out of gas by the time the Ducks game rolled around. There is a statistic, and there's been a lot of debate about this statistic, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but essentially it's that by Thanksgiving, 75% of the teams approximately who have a playoff spot will keep that playoff spot when the playoffs begin. By Christmas, it goes up to about, it's like 83%. Right now, the Rangers are in a playoff spot. They're not comfortably there, but they're there. So for all intents and purposes, we're doing okay. I think the issues have been the ups and downs, and the games that we win that we don't expect to win, and the games that we lose that we really shouldn't lose. And, you know, obviously Halak's been struggling, and Christine, you were at that game, so I'm sure you have an even different perspective than just watching it happen.
I had a front row view of that rolling puck into the net. I was right there, 30 feet from that. I was just like, oh my God. It really looked like he was having trouble seeing anything. And that was frustrating. I think, honestly, my opinion last night is I could not defend him anymore. I was defending him up until last night. these were goals that should not have gotten in.
They shouldn't have, but at the same time, the Rangers should have scored. I mean, with all those shots on goal, I have to say, like, they didn't.
That's a
didn't
whole
feel-
like I think we have two ends of the spectrum going on here. You know, I think they're two separate issues in my opinion. You know, Halak is one thing. And I think after the game last night, you know, Gallant was talking about, you know, Halak, he's got faith in him. Because during the game, honestly, we were down 3-1 and I'm like, pull him. There's no reason we should be losing to this team. I think if I'm correct, the Ducks hadn't even won any like a regulation game yet. We handed it to them.
Yes.
They were celebrating like it was a Stanley Cup.
It was,
So-
it felt like a gift. It was our gift to Ducks fans. this
Yeah, we're thankful. we're
Yeah.
such givers.
year. You're such a first.
So Halak is one thing, and unfortunately, it's losing one or two. But now he has this reputation. Now I'm seeing the boards calling for Domingue to be put in, and that's becoming more prominent. And just even trying him as a backup to see. On the other side, you're right. Like the scoring isn't there. I'll compare it to games earlier in the season. Halak played against the Islanders a week before. Shesterkin was playing against the Sharks. We lost both games. They were comparable in shots. With Igor in net against the Sharks, we scored. We lost in overtime. We were scoring. Against the Islanders, I believe Halak stopped more shots than Igor did, and we lost. He gets the bad rap for it, but we didn't score any goals that game. So, you know, it's a problem on both ends. We can go back to the first episode where it's like, I want to see shots. Little did I know I needed to be a little bit more specific on that.
I was going to say, did you specify the shots needed to go into the goal?
I'm like, okay, have we learned something? Now on Thanksgiving, let's manifest, you know, scoring opportunities. They're aiming at the chest and the logo. Kako had a breakaway last night. I'm like, why are you aiming right into his chest?
I completely
Come
agree.
on.
It's like they're taking the shots. It's like the accuracy, they're getting really bogged down by the defense in front of the net. So I don't know if it's like some fundamentals they need to work on, or there's just some miscommunications that are happening.
Well,
it's frustrating.
I keep seeing they're passing when they should be shooting. They're shooting when there's someone open and can get a better shot and a better angle. So I get frustrated just watching, like, because we see it at a different angle. I'm like, when I see Fox open there and Panarin's twirling around on the other side, I'm like,
Panarin's
oh
like
my
shooting
God.
like he's passing right in front of the net to one of the other defensemen on the other side. So it's just, yes, as fans, you know, we want to be supportive. And I know Christine has always been the diplomatic one, the optimistic one. It is always glass half full. Hey, at least we got 1 point. Hey, this, hey, that. So to get you to start to break down and go, okay, what is happening here? That has to take a little bit of something.
Well, it was last night, actually. I'm not defending Halak anymore because I watched his face. I watched what he did. And then he kept going around the net to get the puck. I'm like, stay in your little blue area. I'm going to come and strangle you. It's like, oh my God, you're letting goals in. Stay there. I mean, like, I don't want him to accidentally score his own goal because he's trying to clear a freaking puck behind the net.
I know at one point last night, I was like, that would just, you could like almost see it happen. Please don't.
I was yelling. But people around me were in agreement. Someone's yelling like, you know, they wanted the team to get more aggressive. I'm like, no, we don't need to do anything but shoot. And then I saw that Panarin hit 400 assists. So he's kind of frustrating me as well because he's not taking shots. He's getting a lot of comments on the boards too.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of twirling.
And they're, you know, and they are trying to be fancy. I'm like, what, they're doing a lot of back passing and stuff. And I'm like, stop it with that. Just get into position. What I'm seeing, and I know you probably noticed this too, is they're doing really bad passes across the ice. You know, they're giving away the puck.
Yeah.
And so that right there is like the rookie mistakes. I mean, last night I felt like Pee-wee style hockey. I have never seen the puck fly in the air so much as I did last night. I was like, what's happening? It was weird. The reps were falling down. They were in the way.
Yes.
I do want to ask, you know, as they played LA the other night, outside the box thinking, did they all go out and tie one on after the game? Were they hungover playing yesterday? They looked awful yesterday. Anaheim looked good, which all year they've won 6 games and lost 13. That's not a compliment.
Yeah. You know who looked good? Vetrano and Strom.
Didn't they? Absolutely.
I'm like, and then I was rewatching it because a lot of the action was on the other side, so I couldn't really see it. So I did rewatch the game, and it gave me a better perspective too of like really how close we did come to scoring a lot. I mean, Gibson's he's huge. He kept falling down. It reminded me of the Sharks game. I was like, why are we not scoring on this guy? He's 8 feet tall and he's laying on the ground, and we were laughing because when he went down on his knees and got back up, it looked like he was out of breath. So why aren't we not able to score? I mean, I know he's a big guy, he takes up a lot of the net, but he was down a lot, and that again, it was frustrating.
This was a long road trip for the Rangers. They've been on the road the entire week. This was a back-to-back game. I'm certainly not making excuses, but they looked like they were just exhausted. It's unfortunate. Probably should have been more fun, like a more fun excuse to lose like they did go out. I don't think it was that. I think they were just absolutely gassed by the time this is over. So at least with Thanksgiving, we do have a little bit of a break. So the next game is on Saturday, November 26th.
I hear they're flying back today, so they're going to miss half the day for Thanksgiving with their families. So they can home tonight.
They can think about.
I know they have lots of time to think,
and they have some time to regroup before they play.
They got jet again.
They play the Oilers, the Devils, the Senators twice, the Blackhawks, the Blues, and then on Wednesday, December 7th, they are in Vegas playing the Vegas Golden Knights, which Christine and I will be at. So if anybody is planning a little Vegas trip, please let us know. Please reach out on our Instagram. We will do a meetup before the game. We're working on details and we'll post about that. But yeah, we're hoping they can certainly turn things around and have a good run leading up to the Vegas game, because it would be really fun to be able to celebrate a nice win in Vegas.
And Vegas is hot. So going back to the points, I think it's funny because we were leaving this road trip with the points I expected. They're just all reversed. Like I expected them to win, against the Ducks, lose against the Kings, easily beat the Sharks, and the Kraken, too, were kind of hot. And we ended up with the points I thought we were going to end up with. It's still a successful. I mean, they're better than 50%, so that's majority. like that works.
And now with Ryan Reeves officially traded, it seems like we have a little bit of extra room on salary. So Christine, are you seeing any rumors? What are you seeing on the boards?
It's such fresh news. I don't know if all the details are coming out because, I was wondering how long they've been working on this because, he has been not practicing. He hasn't not been playing or, even dressing.
Yeah, he was scratched like 7 of the 8 last games leading up into this announcement. So it's not a huge surprise. We will miss Reeves. He had really great energy. He was a really solid, defender of the players. I think he went 5-0 in fights for the Rangers. Like
with a smile, right?
always. Yeah, he had great energy. So we definitely feel that loss.
He requested that trade, which I didn't.
Yeah, that's what I wonder if it's because he was being sat down or if it was already in the works. Obviously for us, it wasn't a surprise with what we've been seeing. That's what I was talking to people about because I woke up yesterday to your text. So I wake up and then, and Liz is like, oh no, we're looking at the text. And I had to go back and look and see. And I'm like, oh no, but not a surprise really. Along with that conversation that the Kane rumor is picking up speed. I was talking to my friend, I call him High Five Guy. So earlier
is he your secret source on
yeah, well,
High Five Guy? His High Five Guy.
High Five Guy. We did meet up yesterday. So we met at the Ducks game earlier this year, and we got on social media because we were down the glass and we won, and they caught us high-fiving, and he came up out of nowhere. And at the Kings game the following night, I was sitting by myself and we had scored a goal and I'm high-fiving people around, and then we scored again. I turned around and he was right there. And so I just call him High Five Guy, but his name's Luke. But I was talking to his dad, and his dad has connections, some people in the hockey world. He was saying that Kane's talking about his own dealings and going to a competitive opponent. It's looking like he's wanting to come to the Rangers. So, and again, that was the question I was asking. We asked this before. Where are you going to put him?
Yeah, these will be some interesting times. It'll be an interesting next couple of weeks. Well, we are excited for it. Again, I know this is post-Thanksgiving, but happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm sure we'll be recording again before Vegas. Mark your calendars. December 7th, Las Vegas. Please come meet us.
And hang out with us. It'll be fun regardless.
We are very fun. We are very fun. Also, Sarah, I just want to mention Sarah was quite popular at the game the other night.
Except she got lost.
For anyone who doesn't,
Sarah, where did you go?
Sarah made it home. For anyone who does not follow us on Instagram, we had a cardboard cutout of Sarah who came with us to the game, who was extremely, extremely popular.
It would be very on brand for me to get lost. My GPS is broken, as everyone tells me. So it's funny.
I'm the one that you got to kind of keep riled up. I roam.
Well, thanks everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
One real
Thanksgiving.
quick other shout out before we go. Not only have we meeting amazing people, but with our pairings, we are meeting and speaking with and having people refollow some of our pairings. To those that are listening, we definitely want to thank you for your support and for retweeting things out and for being there. We're going to come, Cardenas Tequila, we're going to come up and sample your tequila soon. Definitely appreciate your support, as well as, Long Beach Brewing Company and Jones Beach Brewing Company. In particular, these are people that I've met along the way, and we love it. So we're going to continue our pairings throughout the year. I think Liz had an idea. We might make it into a book. So, and have some fun with it. And have some fun with it. But definitely this growing community and the support that we're getting is very favorable. It's very fun. People are very interested. Can't wait to see, what like this new year is going to bring us. So thankful for everybody. And especially I'm thankful for you two ladies as well, because we are amazing. You're amazing. And this has been such a fun adventure. And again, to think that this has all happened in 1 year, and just knowing and growing and becoming, really good friends. So I can't be more thankful, to be honest with you.
So well said, Christine. I completely echo the sentiments. That is absolutely beautiful. I think exactly the same thing. It's been such a fun adventure, and I love where this is going. And thank you so much, Sarah and Christine. You've been just absolutely amazing.
Thank you to you both. Liz,
And happy
for suggesting
anniversary.
it. Oh, thanks.
We're not letting that slide.
Thanks.
Happy anniversary, Sarah.
It's 14 years. I'll post about it later. Thank you.
I noticed that my Canadian friends are somehow drawn to our Thanksgiving, one way, shape, or form.
Always. Oh my God. Always. Go Bills. I'll be watching that later. I can't wait. Football during the week is like my favorite thing. So more of that.
Enjoy.
As much as hockey, of course. As much as hockey.
Well, I don't know when everyone's going to listen to this, but hopefully we get a good game over the weekend. Then we'll kind of look and see what brings us into the close of the year. We'll record one more, and also looking forward to growing our podcast too. So we're going to start to go live. I'm going to push that out there so that we can get more people involved. One of the things too that I'm meeting with people is they are interested and they want to talk about things. If you look at the conversation I had last night, with this woman, she was good. She wants to talk about stuff. We definitely, want to kind of get other people in and get a really good discussion going on things too, because I'm also finding, especially women, that really want to talk about it. And let's get them out there. We all have good voices. We know the sport too. And it's fun growing conversations too, as we're doing this. So not only am I enjoying the game, I'm enjoying the crowd. I'm learning so many more things, from people as I ask more questions, as we're talking about things with topics. So it's only going to get better.
Love it. All right, ladies, have a great weekend.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks,
you guys.
everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, guys.
Bye.